Andrea with Safire Training, and today I am bringing to you a yoga sequence for tight hamstrings. So this is one of my favorites because I myself have tight hamstrings, and I want to share with you some poses to help you kind of get into those hamstrings and help loosen them up. All right, let's go down. And we're gonna start lying down on your back. So feet are grounded to the floor. You're gonna have your arms can be at your sides. You're gonna lift your hips up and lower back down. So we're just kind of warming up the body, warming up the lower body, the hips, the glutes. And we're just gonna do a few pulses. So as you're doing this, one of the ways that I like you to think about this is you're gonna push through the heels. Your toes should not be gripping into the ground at all. And in another way, you can pretend you have a ball between your knees, and that way your inner thighs are adducting, squeezing together, rather than letting those knees fall apart. We're gonna do a couple more. Last one. Very good. So next, you're just gonna take one knee, your right knee, into your chest. Give it a little squeeze, and I want you just to draw little circles with it. So we're gonna keep those feet engaged throughout our practice today. So by that, it means keeping them flexed. So point those toes up to the ceiling. Draw those little hip circles on that right side, warming it up, and then holding here. Pulling it up a little bit out to the side, and then releasing that right leg down. Take that left knee into the chest. Go ahead and draw those little circles, warming up the hips. And you can kind of tune into the body. What is your body telling you it needs today? It might be telling you need to work on hamstrings. That is what we are doing today. And then go ahead and pull that knee into the chest. And then go ahead and bring that right knee to meet the left and just rock a little bit side to side, holding on just below the knees. All right, take those arms out into a T, bring those legs up into tabletop, and we're just gonna do a little bit of slow spinal twist. Again, these are not deep since we are not fully warmed up. This is part of our warm up. So don't think you need to go into a full expression of the pose. Just a little bit side to side, going to what feels good. Warming up that back, getting a little twist in there. Remembering to breathe. One more. And then hugging the knees into the chest. And then we're gonna roll over to our right side. Good, pushing up into your hands, and now we're gonna stay actually on our knees. You're gonna bring your right leg forwards into a low runner's lunge. So we're gonna start here. You're gonna take that foot out wider to the outside part of your mat. You're pushing in. So we're stretching out here into our hip flexor, and you might feel it a little on the inner thigh or glutes on that right leg. Your back toes can be curled or left undone. Curled is a little bit easier for balance. If this feels fine, you can go ahead and bring your palm or your forearms down to the mat. If that's too intense, then you can stay up here. Taking another breath here. Inhale, think lengthen through that spine. Exhale, sinking a little deeper into the posture. And then we're gonna release back onto that heel. And as I do that, I'm flexing those toes. So the tricky part of this pose is I'm gonna try to keep my hips level. So I'm not gonna try to dump into a hip. So I'm trying to sit right back so I really feel that in that hamstring. So making sure you're breathing, because anytime that you stop breathing, that's where you kind of get stuck in the posture or stuck in a pose. So taking nice deep breaths in and then releasing it down. This is my love-hate relationship stretch. I know I need it, but it does give me that, yeah, I can feel it working. Another breath here. And then go ahead and release those hands back down. Take that foot back to tabletop, and let's take the other leg forwards. Take that left leg forwards into that runner's lunge. Back knee again is down on the mat. You can stay here, or you can take it down onto the forearms. Sinking into those hips. One side might feel a little easier than the other, and it is okay if your knee goes out to the side a little bit. You can roll up to the outside of that foot. So again, finding your comfort. Think nice tall spine. Your neck is an extension of your spine. Nice deep breath in. And then exhale, go ahead and release it back. As you're curling back, curl those toes in, up onto that heel, and then you're sinking back into those hips. Now, if I had a block, I would be having my hand on a block. I did not bring my block. But this is all here. Now, this is my tough side because I like to jump into that right hip. So I'm trying to work extra hard to really just stay into that left hamstring. So that means my right glute is trying to hold me up, and I feel it a little bit on that right quad, so that top of the leg. So any of those feelings that you feel, that just means that's where you might have some tightness. You might not feel it in the same area as I do, and that's totally fine. That's why everyone has a little different yoga practice, because everyone's body is a little different. Taking another breath here. And then exhale, release, and take it back to tabletop. Place those hands down into starfishes. Push it back, down dog. So our first down dog, pedal those feet out, rock those hips side to side. And then find some stillness. Your heels do not have to touch the ground, so do not feel like you are forcing it. Your knees can be slightly bent, so especially if you have tight hamstrings, those knees probably are going to be bent. It's going to feel better. Take that right leg to the sky, place that right foot between the hands, turn that back toes so they're facing forwards, open those arms up, warrior two. So that front knee is at a nice bend, that knee is right above the ankle. Your heel to arch alignment in this one. Gaze is out past your front fingers. Taking another deep breath here. Exhale, straighten that front leg out. We're gonna go into triangle now. So triangle, I don't want you to jut your hip back as you go into it, but I want you to reach forwards and then come down. So again, if you have some tightness back in this area, you might not be able to go as deep. And again, one of the expressions I really love, one of my yoga mentors tells me, there's no more yoga on the ground than there is right here. So just because you can't touch the ground doesn't mean you're not doing yoga. You find your goodness wherever your body allows. Your gaze can be up or it can be slightly in front, whatever feels best to your neck. Again, you should feel a nice deep stretch. And then exhale back, warrior two. Taking a nice deep breath in. And then we're gonna exhale, turn those back toes so they're now facing forwards. Widen your stance. Coming up, warrior one. Now the hips are facing forwards or as close to forwards as you can. Arms are above, shoulders are down, smiles on the face. Taking a nice deep breath here. And then on your exhale, I want you to straighten that front leg out and then bow it forwards. Now we're into pyramid. Another delicious pose. Getting into those hamstrings. Trying to keep those hips facing forwards. I'm going to shorten my stance just a little bit so I can better find my posture. Again, lengthening through that spine. Connecting to the breath. And then placing those hands down, stepping it back, down dog. Wiggling those hips out if you need. And then take that left leg high to the sky, bring that left foot forwards. I'm gonna switch on my mat just so my back is not to you. Turn that back heel down, coming up, woo, warrior two. So again, front heels aligned with the back arch, gaze is slightly over the toes, or over the fingers, not the toes. Now I want you to pay attention to this front knee. If you're collapsing in, I want you to keep that kneecap aligned with the second toe. So really try to open up through here. Taking a nice deep breath in, sinking a little deeper. Gazing out past that back arm to make sure it's all aligned. Good. Exhale, straighten that front leg out. And we're gonna go ahead and reach it forwards. Again, watching this back hip. I'm gonna place my hand here just to make sure I'm not jutting out. And down. Good, so again, finding your posture. So knowing which side might need a little bit more help. So you can place that hand here and lengthen through the spine, and that kind of gives you that self-adjustment. So you might feel a little stretch through that side body. Try not to put a ton of weight into this bottom hand. So it's just there for guidance. You can always use a block too, or put your hand on the floor depending on flexibility. And then exhale, come back up, and then back to that warrior two. Holding it here, a breath. And then we're coming to warrior one. Turn those back toes so they're slightly facing forwards. Widen your stance, arms up above. Warrior one. Now again, we're trying to place our pressure down through that back blade edge of the foot. So we're all even through the heels and the big toe and the pinky toe. Taking another nice deep breath here. And then exhale. Straighten that leg, taking a nice inhale. And exhale, fold it down, pyramid. So if you have blocks, you can place your hands on each block, or we can just place our hands on that thigh or on the shin, whatever works for you. Keeping that spine nice and tall, lengthening through that neck. And this knee, it should not be locked, a slight knee bend, but not super bent. So my whole leg is working, I'm engaged. You can put your hands on blocks or right here on your shin or thigh. Taking one more breath here. And then exhale, release those hands to the floor, walk your hands to the middle. And now we're taking a wide leg straddle pose. So those toes are facing forwards, and we're just gonna hang here. Again, knees are slightly bent so your legs are engaged, stretching out those hamstrings. Now we're gonna try so we're aligned here so we're not shifted too far back. So we want to be aligned so our core is working. So those feet should be grounded down. Breathing in and breathing out, going a little deeper. Now if we want to take it to our calves, turn those toes slightly more inwards. And now you might get a little tightness relief from those calves. One more breath here. Good, and then go ahead and walk those hands slightly out in front of you and come down to those knees. All right, we're gonna do a couple final seated postures. So we're gonna finish. I'm gonna use a strap for these because I do have one handy. And so we're gonna do Janu Shirshasana. So if you have a strap, you can get a strap out. If you have dogs, dog leashes work. If you have horses, horse leashes work. Or you can use a blanket, or just do it without a strap and you'll just place your hands on your shin. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna place the strap, if you have one, on the ball of your foot. Place your right foot on the inside of your inner thigh on the left leg. You're gonna hold onto the strap pretty tight, keeping that foot engaged. Now my torso is facing forwards. I'm gonna turn it so it's facing my foot. I'm sitting up nice and tall. I'm gonna walk my hands down. And now I'm going until I can feel that stretch in my hamstring. So this is where I go. I don't want your spines to be scrunched down like this. So you want to actually be sitting up nice and tall. So scrunching down, I can go deeper and I can sit all the way to my toes, but I'm not holding the integrity of the pose. So I want to find my stretch here and I can feel it a lot more intensely. So again, if you didn't have a strap, you would just simply place your hands wherever you felt it. And again, that foot should stay engaged the entire time. So we're breathing here. And again, inhale, you think lengthen. Exhale, you think going a little bit deeper. And to go deeper, you can walk your hands down your strap or your leg, but just not bending forwards and hunching over at that back. So sitting up nice and tall. And we're gonna hold these for a little bit, so about 90 seconds on each side. So it's a little bit of yin, so the longer you hold it, the more you can get into that fascia and release a little bit more. So a couple more. Keep those shoulders down. And then we're gonna exhale, we're gonna release here. And we're gonna do it to the other side. So take that right leg out, place that left foot on the inner thigh of the right leg. Engage that right foot, placing the strap if you have one around it. Sitting up nice and tall, walk those hands down your strap. Turning that spine towards your foot. And finding your pose. So again, everyone might look different. And that's what yoga is all about. Everyone is on their own personal practice. And so one day you're like, wow, I was able to touch my toes. And then the next day, you're back to the strap. That is what yoga is all about. It's a lifelong practice. Every day it's a little bit different. So if you worked out the day before, you might be a little tighter, you might be a little sore, so you're not gonna go as deeper. If it's the end of the day and you've warmed up your body throughout the day, you might go a little bit deeper. If it's in the morning, you're like, ooh, I'm a little stiff today, you might be a little bit shorter in your stance. So those are all things to take into account. So don't beat yourself up if you notice, shoot, I'm not going as deep. That's not what yoga is all about. It's listening to the body of the day. Relax those shoulders down. And take a couple more breaths here. And then releasing here, and we're gonna go ahead and finish with both feet in front of us. So staff pose, so I'm sitting like so, my both feet are engaged. If I have a strap, you can place it around your feet. If not, again, you're sitting up nice and tall, walking those hands down the legs. And then go ahead and find your pose. Now this one, it is gonna be a little bit more intense because you obviously have both of your hamstrings you're dealing with. So sitting up nice and tall and really trying to get into that meat of the hamstrings, getting into the juiciness of the pose. And remembering it's the same thing with your spine, sitting up nice and tall. It's not folding over and unless you can keep your spine nice and tall, then you can fold all the way over to your toes. But you want to keep that spine engaged. My core is working to hold me up. My shoulders are relaxed. My feet are engaged. Because if you notice, if you actually let your feet flop, your hamstrings aren't as engaged. But when you pull here, your hamstrings automatically are going to get a little bit more of a stretch. Couple more breaths. And we are going to do a little Shavasana. We didn't do any grounding to start, but I do want to finish with some Shavasana because Shavasana at the end, it just helps you soak up the energy of what we put out there today. So even if we're just in there for a minute, I just want you to feel your body when we go into Shavasana and feel the difference. If you notice your hamstrings more open, or maybe your back feels better, just notice what you feel in your body. So go ahead and release the strap. If you have one, place it off to the side. We're gonna come into our final Shavasana, or the resting pose. Legs are out nice and straight. I'm moving my mic back. And laying down, palms open to the sky. Taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. And then open mouth exhale. One more of those. Open mouth exhale. And then I'm going to leave you just to feel your body and feel the practice. I will ring a chime when it's time to move on. And that chime means it's time to start bringing awareness back to the body by wiggling your fingers and toes, rolling your wrists and ankles around. And go ahead and bring those knees up and then roll over to that left side using that arm as a pillow, extending it out. Taking a nice deep breath here, cleansing out all of the goodness that we've done today. And go ahead and use that right hand to press up into a comfortable seated position. Eyes can stay closed. Bring those arms up overhead, palms to touch. And then bringing them down, stopping at your third eye, where your intuition spot. Positive thoughts. Stopping at your lips, positive words. And stopping at heart center, positive deeds. Namaste.